Hey guys, Putzoman 945 here. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm making part 3 of my One Piece review. So when I last made the video, I think it was like 3 days ago or something, I was already like part of the way into Water 7. I think I was at like episode 240 or something. Now I am at episode 325. Um, I have watched an absolutely ungodly amount of One Piece in the past few days because I have just been so utterly hooked on it. Um, It has literally just been what I have been contributing my waking hours to doing because I have just been completely consumed in both Water 7 and Enies Lobby. Um, so, for a little bit of context, I ended up skipping Long Land, because honestly, I heard the arc was pretty terrible, and I looked up the Admiral, um, Aokoji fight on YouTube, so I'm good there. I know how freaking awesome admirals are. I really don't think there was a whole lot much else to see in that one. Sorry about that. We're I'm testing something with my camera. It doesn't seem to be working right as I'm trying to record this video, but um, it's like it's weird. It's like I'm sure it'll show fine in the video, but it's like when I'm looking at the camera screen, it's like not like updating as I move around. It's weird. Anyway, that's completely unrelated. Um, so I skipped Long Land. Um, Basically dove straight into Water 7. And wow. I didn't think anything would really top Alabasta for a while. And I've had a lot of people say that, like, even though I was already really enjoying One Piece and by the end of Alabasta, I was absolutely freaking loving it. Um, essentially, the way I like to think about it is like when I first started it, all the way up until like Arlong Park was like an 8, which meant I was really enjoying it. Then Alabasta came along, and I'm like, oh my god, I freaking love this. And that's like it's a 9. And then these two arcs are just like at the fucking 10. Um, so in my mind is now officially a 10. Um, And the crazy thing is, I know I still have like so much more to experience when it comes to One Piece, and that just makes me really excited. I mean, that's part of the reason I'm wearing my One Piece t-shirt today is just because I finished Enies Lobby today and I was so freaking pumped about it, especially the post Enies Lobby part, which I will get to in great detail. Um, so when you enter the island of Water 7 for the first time, I really like how very distinct it is from a lot of the other islands. I like a lot of the characters that are introduced, including the character Frankie right off the bat. I think I absolutely love Frankie. I think he's absolutely hilarious. I think he has a very like deep backstory that really like fits his character and the unique culture around Water 7 as a shipbuilding island really well. Um, and he is just such a joyful presence on screen, and I love his interactions with basically every one of the Straw Hats because it's hilarious. Uh, and he's definitely one of my new favorite characters. I absolutely love Frankie, and I love like his cyborg abilities too. It's like super creative. Um, and and I also I really like the atmosphere that it's built up in Water 7 about its like uniqueness as a shipbuilding island. I think that's like incredibly interesting, and it's amazing to me how Oda can like when he is making these different islands somehow makes like people and cultures feel so real pertaining to those islands. That's definitely one of the biggest strengths of One Piece's world building is just this unique sense of character that seems to come with each island, and I think it is the most strongly felt and the most well done so far in Water 7. Uh, but immediately into Water 7, this arc does not mince time whatsoever. Immediately we start getting into the hard-hitting emotional shit. Because uh or not Luffy, Usopp loses the money that they got from treasure in Skypiea, and he basically gets beaten up by Frankie. But like there is just something that hits different about Usopp's character in in the beginning of this. I could tell almost immediately by this. Because like he is like breaking down in tears, and he's so determined, and he's more emotional than we've ever seen him so far. And uh and after Zoro, Luffy, Robin, and Sanji, not Robin, Chopper and Sanji absolutely just destroy the Frankie family and their house. Because keep in mind, this is all while Robin has just disappeared, and for the time being, we don't know where she could have possibly gone. Um, so there's that like element of mystery, along with just this hard-hitting Usopp stuff, and that all culminates in like the oh God, I'm just thinking about it now. It's like such a like emotionally powerful scene where like Luffy has to basically break the news to Usopp that they have to get rid of the Going Merry because it's broken. And it's so incredibly heartbreaking. Uh, because you really don't want to see anything happen to that ship. But what you especially don't want to see is Luffy and Usopp dueling. Um, I am not kidding when I say I was completely speechless watching that entire series of fights. The series of fights. Like that duel, it was just completely, I was just completely speechless, just sitting on my bed. Um, because that was the only reaction that I had, essentially. Uh, because it was just so, like, emotionally, like, a shock to the system, essentially. Um, and man, the fight itself was like so like I think it like perfectly embodied both characters' abilities and like what they're able to and like their main aspect because like for Usopp, this fight really utilized like him trying his absolute best and using like every like trick in his bag, even like the dials from Skypiea to like catch Luffy in traps, and he's being like super crafty because he knows all Luffy's moves. And then Luffy is just kind of charging headstrong in like he always does. But like these attacks by Usopp's aren't enough, and Luffy ends up beating him. And it's just so emotionally depressing because like you really don't want the crew to fall apart, but then it just kind of happens. It's kind of like Oda during this section was just like, I don't give a crap about human emotions. I'm just going to write these things in and they're going to happen whether my audience, um, whatever reaction emotionally my audience has to it. um, and so after that, literally the very next episode, Iceberg gets assassinated out of literally nowhere. And of course, the Straw Hats are blamed. Um, and then it just launches into this whole like murder conspiracy thing. Um, like just coming off this emotion of Usopp leaving the crew, the Straw Hats are just thrust into this completely insane situation, and then um and then we get these mysterious figures in like masks with Robin with them, with which like doesn't make any sense. And at this point, she's just told like Sanji and Chopper that she has to leave and she can't stay, but it's the last time that they'll see her. And she has a wish to be fulfilled, and it's like all this crazy stuff that doesn't make any sense right now. Uh, so and this and then this is like just absolutely insane action because uh like uh it's just like this absolutely insane thing where like the Straw Hats charge into the mansion, they're trying to find out what's going on. At the same time, these mysterious dudes in masks seem completely OP and are just absolutely destroying everybody. Um and then My God, this is absolutely the craziest twist so far. It turns out the members of CP9 or the guys in the masks are the freaking foremen that work under Iceberg. And that was just completely mind destroying because there was literally nothing that hinted that was coming whatsoever. And then they just proceed to get absolutely wrecked by CP9, the Straw Hats. I mean, um, and then Robin just leaves of her own accord. Rob Lucci has some weird ass devil fruit powers, and then and then it just starts this completely insane like um and then after that it's like a series of episodes that really get into Frankie's backstory. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, I really like Frankie's backstory because I love the character of Tom. I think that Tom is such a charismatic, happy character, and I love like what his purpose is, the way he goes out and his influence on Iceberg and Frankie, and how that like gets paid off. And I also really liked learning the backstory behind Kokoro, because before that I thought she was just kind of a weird old lady, to be honest. But like seeing that kind of like gives a lot more context to her character, makes her more interesting and I liked her a little bit better after that. Let's just say, put it that way. Um, this is gonna be longer than my part two review. Um, and and their backstory is just like extremely emotional, and it's a perfect like demonstration in the story thus far of just the complete corruptness of the world government and the links that certain members are willing to go to achieve their like sense of so-called justice. And like, by the way, that is also one of my favorite things about these two arcs. It was this kind of like prevailing theme that has been built up to on the principles of this world being very much gray and not black and white. But I love this overall theme of like the differing ideas of justice and the lengths that certain people go to achieve that, and like whether that means following orders or following your own sense of justice, I think is just fascinating and extremely engaging as a main like moral that really drives the story of Water 7. Um, so then after Spondum is essentially introduced as the same villain, we learn he's still alive, didn't actually die by Frankie, and he's now the head of CP9, but he was also the one that caused all the bad stuff with Tom. Um, then we start the absolutely crazy part, which is like the last little like chunk of Water 7 before it like properly transitions over to Ennie's lobby, where Sanji just battles through all these people on the train, and then Luffy and the others take a second sea train to catch up with them. And that whole sequence is so action packed and intense because it once again makes the CP9 agents just seem like completely unbeatable badasses. And Robin, in this point, is like even more determined to just like sacrifice herself, and she just doesn't understand like why, like what, because like in this part we learned that she wanted to protect them, and that this deal that she learned was that she made with CP9 was that they would be allowed to escape Water 7 alive if Robin turned herself in. Uh, which I think provided mercifully needed context to Robin's actions. But even still, she's like so determined to like not go back. And I think it's like any other character, that stubbornness would have probably gotten annoying. But with Robin, it's like you can really tell there is like genuine emotion behind that. And we'll find out later why. Well, I'm going to get to that. Um, so now, as it kind of like transitions over to Ennie's lobby, after they get through all the parts on the train, all the trains arrive, and they officially start their break-in of Water 7. It's essentially like just this completely insane battle sequence where they battle like thousands and thousands of Marines between just like the Frankie family and a couple of Galliwa shipwright foremen. Um, and like they take down giants, they take down like a freaking three-headed judge guy, they take down like um and in the meantime, like Luffy's just bouncing all over the place, completely wrecking even hundreds and hundreds of more Marines until eventually they all kind of like and eventually even the giants join their side and they're just like whacking up Marines all over the place. And there's like the heroic sacrifices made by Sidon and Gamora. Um the two like creatures, I forget what kind of creatures they're called, but the ones that the Frankie family rides. Um and sorry. Um and then just like getting to the top of that tower and just seeing Luffy tap into second gear for the first time. was so cool. I I loved that part because I thought it was really, really interesting. And during that bit, we also got to see like the other, essentially like the other, parts, the other like members of CP9 that we hadn't met before. Um, and from there, once everyone has infiltrated the building, then it's like an all-out, like, crazy fight versus all of the CP9 members. And I think it's also really interesting how the pairings show up, like the fact that Sanji can't defeat Caulifla because he's strong fighting women, and then Nami has to beat her ass. Um, and then Zoro and Usopp versus Kaku and Jabra is just hilarious because like they end up handcuffed together, and then Haku has the most like ridiculous but also really cool at the same time, like giraffe devil fruit powers, while Jabra has the dog fruit, which makes him look like a cartoonish wolf. And the fact that the two of them are constantly bickering in between just completely beating Zoro and Usopp's asses and while Zoro is just completely carrying the fight, uh, it's just really, really funny. And then Luffy is just running all over the damn place like he has no sense. All the while, Spondum is dragging Robin, accompanied by Lucci, to the gates of justice. Um, where like when she passes through, then she like becomes prisoner essentially, and she can't get out. Um, and then we kind of like reach a new point in the fights where like Chopper just like becomes a giant. Frankie beats Fukuro, the weird like fat guy with the glist and the zipper on his mouth, not glist, fist gloves. Um and just like get the and eventually just like get the keys. I really liked watching Nami beat Caulifla in a really creative way. Thought that was entertaining. Um, I I love the conclusion to the fight between Zoro and Kaku because I thought it was really interesting. Like their clash of sword fighting abilities. I thought that was so cool. And then the way that freaking Zoro, I swear, he is the coolest character. Like he's not he's like my second favorite now, but he's still like the coolest character. Because the way he just like becomes the face of a freaking demon god as he just defeats Kaku is fucking insane. Um and in it's just like blowing my mind how like top notch the quality of the fights. Um, and then while all that is going on, um, Luffy finally catches up with Lucci. And they begin their absolutely nuts fight after uh Luffy demonstrates Gear 3. Um, oh, and side note, I forgot to mention this earlier. This is a bit of a sidetrack momentarily, but um, Soga King. I like that Usopp is in this as Soga King, but just this little thing. The Soga King theme song. I have laughed a lot at One Piece so far, but there are few things I laughed harder at in my entire life than the Soga King theme song for the first time. I that made me absolutely die. of laughter. It was so completely ridiculous and so funny. It was just like the perfect storm of things. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that really quickly. And so eventually, after Frankie gets caught up in the fighting, and Robin's just like crazy, like attempts to like resist them, um, is just crazy too. Because like even before that, like, um, sorry, I think there's a lot that happens in an East Lobby. I think I'm already mixing up what happens. I think I might have skipped Robin's backstory part. I'm going to talk about that quick. Um, these reviews are not of One Piece are in no way organized, and they probably will not ever. Um, but the thing that made Robin my absolute favorite character is just by far the hardest hitting backstory in One Piece thus far, and it's not even close. At first, like before this, I probably would have given that the Chopper because that was pretty emotional. Nah, nothing compared to Robin's. Oh my word, what a masterpiece of television anime, period. Um, so we learn in Robin's flashbacks that she is essentially obsessed with Namek, but she doesn't have any friends because she's eaten a devil fruit from a very young age, and she doesn't have parents. She's been like adopted essentially by her aunt and uncle who basically just use her for free labor, essentially. Um, and her only hope of respite is like hanging out with like this group of scholars on the island that are that with her are all like archaeologists, and they're very fascinated by these very specific things that the government doesn't like people researching. So as such, it leads like before that, um Robin befriends this giant named Saul, and I really like Saul. I think he's a very nice character and very endearing. Um, and during all this, we find out that like essentially like the government catches wind of this and they're not too happy about it, and so a buster call is made to the island, and it's just like completely destroyed, and it's just incredibly depressing because like Robin and her mother have like this brief reunification moment, but then they're like torn apart because like Robin's mom denies being her mother, so like Robin won't be taken by the Marines, and then you just see Robin crying, and it's like, why? I just wanted to have a family. Like I just wanted to have as my mother, and then you see Ovia crying about this, and and also just like seeing the head archaeologist like just being a complete giga chad, by the way, just standing up to the world government via transponder snail and just revealing like lore dumping all this information in literally the coolest way possible. um that's the coolest way to do a lore dump like that, by the way. That was very awesomely done, and it's just like all these things mixed together, and then like Saul like takes Robin, and he gives her this whole speech of how like you might be alone at first, but then like you're gonna find friends at a certain point, and suddenly then it all clicks of why Robin wanted to die, why she made that deal with CP9, why she wanted to protect the Straw Hats is because they were those friends that she finally found and she didn't want to lose them at any cost. And just finding that out and combined with the pure, like, emotional peace of seeing, like, the I want to live moment, which, yes, is just as fucking incredible as it was hyped up to me to be. Um, and episode 278, where that occurs, is easily the best episode of One Piece thus far. Um, Although, to be honest, some of the ones in post Enies Lobby give it kind of a run for its money. Um, but I still think it's the best so far. Um, but I think my top like 5 or 10 favorite episodes, like half of them would come from Enies Lobby and post Enies Lobby so far. Um, and and just Robin's backstory is just so completely hard hitting. And then there's also the fact that you find out that freaking Admiral Alkoji was a vice admiral during this attack, and Saul used to be a vice admiral, but he defected and how Olvia like become rescued because like he thought what the Marine were doing was cool. Ah man, I love Saul. Um He's such an endearing character. And then finding out that like um Aokoji just like respected the wishes of his friend so much that he allowed Robin to purposefully escape and wanted her to find a life just like Saul did. Obviously not to the same emotional extent because like he's an admiral for the Marines for a reason. But wow, that was some powerful stuff. And it easily, like, it makes Robin my favorite character now. Um, um, so anyway, and also, like, as part of that later on, as I was alluding to earlier before, I was kind of like jumping around a lot, like her just pure determination to live and not be dragged through the gates of justice. Like, how much that shit Spawn literally beats her up, like, just punches her, kicks her, grabs her hair. And like just seeing Robin like literally bite onto the stone with blood from her mouth is so badass. And at the same time, there is this absolutely intense fight happening between Lucci and Luffy, where they're literally using all of their abilities and skills. And it's like Luffy wants to think it's even, but in reality, Lucci is kind of destroying him. Um, And then Frankie gets up there and just beats Spawn's ass in a really satisfying way. But then the freaking Buster call that Spondum actually presses just comes in out of nowhere, and suddenly the stakes are leveled up again. And it's insane how like any slobby eat like doubly as much as Water 7 did it. It's just like thing after thing after thing, and it's like an escalator on a damn mountain. I swear. Um, and it's just completely insane to me. Uh, like just how good it is. For lack of a better phrase. Oh, good. Um, um, and then just like this incredibly satisfying payoff as we learn a little bit about Lucci's backstory makes him a complete badass and how just like like how the Star has reunite with Robin, that's really nice. Um, and like um how like that motivation helps Lucci beat not Lucci beat Luffy beat Lucci finally. Um, even though it was easily like the hardest opponent, using the most badass move he's ever used, because it was like this gear two like mass like air gum gatling, and it was so cool. Um, it's like almost 11 o'clock when I'm recording this, so I'm kind of tired, but I really wanted to finish this video. So, um, after that is all, after that is all said and done, then the freaking Going Merry shows up and sails them off one last time, and that just kind of brought back all this pent up emotion from Water 7 with the Going Merry stuff and just kind of like unleashes it in a flood when already all this other stuff is going on. Um, um, and, um, I love the way that they managed to like finally escape. I really love that, honestly. And so when they escape, then they're like met by the Galliwa ship, and then another episode that would probably go in my top 10 so far is the one where they burn the Going Merry. Oh my God. Um, that that was like a gum Gatling of fucking gut punches, that episode. Um, I was literally like I'd been hit by the attack that defeated Lucci, but just in like emotional gut punches during that part. Because like every single character, like several characters were crying, and every single character had their own like unique relationship with the Mary that's like in these flashback scenes, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful episode, and it's such an amazing send off to the Going Merry. It was done masterfully. Um, so then they get back to the island. They have like a massive party. Everything is going like really well and stuff. And at this point, we're kind of like transitioned into the post Ennis Lobby um arc, which is like almost just as good based on just the sheer amount of shocking, completely like mind dissolving information that we learn in just this short span of episodes. Um, so first off, you kind of have a resolution to Frankie's character as the Thousand Sunny is built. And it's like his pride and joy as a ship. And then, we also find out, like this is that one episode in Jaya with like the information dump, but on steroids. It's crazy. Um, because just like well, first off, I really love the resolution to Frankie's character and the Thousand Sunny, and I really like that whole like idea of how they got Frankie to join the crew. I thought that was really funny. And then this guy, Vice Admiral Garp, just comes in and is like, "Hi, I'm Luffy's grandfather," and you're just like, "What the fuck? How is Vice Admiral Luffy's grandfather?" And then there's a ton of really funny banter between them because they're really freaking similar as characters. And then we get to see Kobe and Helmeppo again, which you haven't seen since freaking Romance Dawn. And it's really cool to see how they've grown into characters and also how Kobe just completely lore dumps the idea of the new world and how that is like the second half of the Grand Line and essentially the new direction for the entirety of the story. Um, and then you get to the part where you learn about like the four emperors, and I'm just like, what? And Whitebeard and freaking Shanks are two of those four emperors, and like the seven warlords are like in alliance against the four warlords, and it also raises the question of like, what the fuck are the other two warlords? Who could they be? Um, and it also makes you reconsider like how the hell did Goldie Roger fit into this? If he was king of the pirates, like what was his power scale compared to the four emperors of the sea? Um, and then there's just this episode which is just this absolutely legendary meeting between Whitebeard and Shanks, which legitimately gave me goosebumps the entire episode because it's like such a unique introduction to this new thing called hockey, which apparently is like if you're so powerful like Shanks was, it makes average people just faint if you're like even slightly aggressively walking. Like what the fuck? Um, and then like how and then how we learned that um both Shanks and fucking Huggy the Clown used to be members of Goldie Roger's crew. And on top of the family reveals, like beyond the fact that we know that Garp is Luffy's granddad, we also find out that Dragon, the mysterious ass dude who saved Luffy in Longtown from execution, is actually his dad. And on top of that, he's the most heinous criminal in the world and leader of this giant revolutionary movement against the world government. I, my brain is just broken by the amount of completely insane shit that they are just dropping left and fucking right and center. Um, um, and so eventually we kind of like get to a part where after all that is done, after that like awesomeness of an episode concludes, um, then then we get like a much better idea of like the um well then we see this like emotions come back and we see like Usopp like finally apologizing and him like rejoining the crew and like finally the crew is just complete and they have to get away from Garp, who is literally throwing cannonballs like he's the Beast Titan throwing stones at the ship while the crew this was just a giveaway, or if you're sorry, you slice them, or like Frankie, like you shoot them, or whatever the heck. Um, and we well, Al Koji is just like sitting there chilling in a freaking beach chair on the marine ship, just like watching the whole thing out of one eye. Um, and like looks like his interest is peaked as they finally manage to escape. Um, I and then the very last episode of Post and His Lobby is like completely unrelated, by the way. Days before the new Wanted posters come out, it's it's Ace hunting down Blackbeard. And Ace like completely destroys the crew and manages to get some hits on Blackbeard. For Blackbeard, just goes completely OP and reveals the freaking dark fruit, which just swallows up an entire town, and it takes away Ace's devil fruit powers and nearly kills him. Fuck. Um, I am just utterly, completely at a loss for words after like everything that happened in this series of arcs that I watched. Um, but it was combined easily the best One Piece content I've seen thus far. Annie's Lobby is now my new favorite arc easily. Robin is now easily my new favorite character. And the absolute like out of all the absolutely crazy plot twist, mind destroying things I talked about in this video, the thing that still is breaking my brain even more is like how do I still have like over 750 more episodes of this? And what I've been told it like only gets better. Um, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, honestly. But um um this was so much longer than my other One Piece reviews because I had so much more to talk about on this one. I don't know if other reviews are going to be this long. I guess I'll just have to see, go with the flow with like whenever I record a new part for these. Um but yeah, if you somehow manage to sit through this insanely long video of me just absolutely gushing the fuck out of myself about One Piece, then thank you very much. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.